What happens when love is not just a personal choice, but a silent battle against what you cherish most? What would you do when, caught between two powerful forces, you find yourself staring into an abyss, unsure if you can cross it without losing what is most precious to you? You might think this is a rare situation, something that only happens to others, far from your reach. But perhaps you have already found yourself torn, your heart weighing on one side while reason pulls you in another direction. Or even more so, maybe you are living this right now, and at this very moment, you feel the weight of making a decision that will redefine who you are and where you are headed. Love is something you don't choose. It simply arrives, touching the deepest parts of your soul. Sometimes it appears like a beacon shining through the darkness, illuminating a path that seemed impossible to follow. And that's what you feel when you are near them. The one who makes your heart race, who makes you laugh and cry at the same time, who takes your breath away and brings something new to life within you. But there's a problem, something that cannot be ignored or disguised. Your family. They who have always been your foundation, your refuge, your history. What happens when those people, whom you have always wanted to protect, start turning against your love? And the most painful part, when you find yourself forced to choose between the heart that beats strongly for someone and the peace you have always sought within your own home, behind the walls of your family. This is the silent conflict he faces, a soul yearning for freedom, yet feeling the weight of others' expectations. What do you do when the love you believe to be the only true thing is viewed as something wrong by those you love most? What happens when you realize that your family's approval is an invisible prison that prevents you from following your feelings? If you've ever felt this way, caught between loving and being loved, and the fear of disappointing those who raised you, those who have always told you how the world should be seen, you know how this pain can eat away at your soul, your mind, and your heart. You sense the confusion of having to grapple with contradictory feelings, with a dilemma that has no easy answers, and with a love that, because it is so pure, seems impossible for those around you to understand. The feeling of being between two worlds, one where love could be the key to happiness, and the other where loyalty to family is what keeps you standing, is an experience that goes beyond words. Because, at its core, the dilemma isn't just about love or family. It's about who you are, how you see yourself in this world, your choices and the consequences they bring. Have you noticed that the pressure coming from home is greater than any other? They love you, of course, you know that. They want what's best for you, but in a way that can no longer be ignored. Every word, every glance, every comment about what's happening in your life seems to add another weight to your shoulders. And that weight, no matter how hard you try to shake it off, is immense. It keeps you from being who you truly are. You know that feeling of wanting to disappear, of not knowing what to do anymore. Because with every step, you feel like you're losing something, whether it's love, peace, or your own identity. Suddenly, every choice becomes a gamble. Would choosing love betray your family's trust? And what if, by choosing family, you condemn the love you've always wanted? The pain is great, isn't it? It's as if a part of you is being torn away and you can't stop it. That feeling of being lost, unsure of which decision to make, is what he's experiencing right now, and perhaps you at some point have felt the same way. Or maybe you're just beginning to realize the weight of such a profound choice, one that affects everything around you. He is being pulled in opposite directions, between the watchful eyes of his family and the loving arms of the one who cares for him. What do you do when you can't please everyone? What do you do when on one side, love is a flame that seems impossible to extinguish, and on the other, family is the source of everything you know and believe? Deep down, he wonders, is it possible to stay true to myself and still not lose what matters most to me? Can I be happy, even if that means challenging others' expectations? Have you ever noticed how our happiness can be a difficult choice? Sometimes what makes us happy is exactly what separates us from what we consider our refuge, the place where we seek acceptance. It's not easy to see this. It's not simple to realize that, to achieve true freedom, it may be necessary to let go of something you never wanted to lose in the first place. No matter how intense the pain, there is something profound in the experience of feeling torn between love and loyalty, something you might need to live through to fully understand. Have you ever gone through this? Do you feel like you're facing this internal struggle right now? The truth is, while he fights, life goes on, and day by day, he feels the pressure mounting. There is a palpable tension, a sense that time is running out for him. What weighs most heavily on his soul is not just the pressure from his family, but the constant doubt. What if the happiness I seek isn't allowed in this world? What if what I desire most is in fact a mistake? And as this doubt lingers, love is not static. It grows. It strengthens. But with every step taken, the distance between him and his family increases. What should be the greatest happiness of his life, the fulfillment of his heart's deepest desire, becomes the cruelest of agonies. He finds himself in the center of an emotional hurricane. He feels that the peace he has always sought, that sense of belonging, is fading away. And in its place there are only the choices he cannot avoid. He knows that by following his heart, he may hurt those who have always loved him, and by following reason, he may be denying the only truth he has never felt before. What do you do when love and family become enemies? When both are essential, but one demands more than the other can give? Doubt is the greatest enemy now, and perhaps the greatest anguish is realizing that whichever path he chooses, there will be losses, because in the end he has to choose. There is no third option, no middle ground. The decision must be made, and it is this choice that will define the rest of his life. Have you ever gone through this? Share your thoughts in the comments. And he is alone in this, or rather, he feels that way. Even surrounded by people who in theory love him, he sees himself as a stranger in his own world. With every glance from his family, he feels more distanced from his own truth. What should be his greatest support gradually becomes his biggest challenge. Now, with a heavy heart, he realizes that the only way to discover who he really is will be through this choice. The decision will be difficult, but perhaps it is the only way to find the freedom he seeks so desperately. The question is, how far is he willing to go to be true to himself? This is just the first part of a journey that only he can walk. The path of discovery and perhaps transformation is just beginning. But if you are reading this, you are also beginning to understand. And perhaps, just perhaps, the answers are closer than you think. And now he feels the weight of his choice becoming increasingly unbearable. As if, for a moment, his soul has split into two parts that can no longer understand each other. Each piece of his being longs for something different, and he is unable to reconcile these parts within himself. The pain is real, and the pressure is strong. What's at stake is not just love, but his very identity. He realizes that by making any decision, he will not only be affecting others, but also redefining who he will be moving forward. He has started to see how this internal struggle is about more than just the simple choice between love and family. It's something deeper, the quest for self-discovery. How far is he willing to go to truly know himself? How much can he extend himself to live the truth that deep in his heart is beginning to demand a voice? Somewhere inside him is a part that cries out to be heard, yet it has never really been welcomed, either within his home or in the memories of his childhood. He has been conditioned to mold himself to what others expect, to live a life according to their rules, as if his own essence were a distant and irrelevant echo. He then realizes that he has never had the freedom to truly live for himself. This is the most painful part. It's not the uncertainty about love or family. It's not about who is right or wrong. The real pain comes from a deep place that no one ever taught him to recognize. It's the void of a life in which he never really felt heard or truly seen. As if, from the beginning, what he felt was always secondary, a piece in a game whose rules he did not choose. And now, faced with this crossroads, he finds himself at the center of a much larger dilemma. Does he really know who he is, or has he only been living to please others? And this realization, he knows, goes beyond any love that has appeared in his life. It goes beyond the family that matters so much to him. It goes beyond the choice he feels is impossible to make. He is being forced to confront something much larger, who he truly wants to be deep down, and whether he has the right to be that person. Every time he gazes at love, he feels a spark of hope and desire. But every time he looks at his family, he feels the weight of a loyalty that cannot be ignored. The voices echo in his mind, those voices that have always told him what he should do, what he should feel, how he should live. And suddenly he realizes that as much as he wants to break free, he doesn't know if he can abandon this loyalty built over a lifetime. Because what's at stake isn't just love, nor peace with his family. What's at stake is who he is, and perhaps that is the greatest crisis of all. Have you ever realized deep down that many of your choices have been shaped by the fear of disapproval? Have you ever felt that the pressure to please others is so strong that, in the end, you drift away from who you could really be? And no matter how hard you try to find your way, that shadow of what if and what will they think seems to follow every step you take. This is the dilemma he faces now, and perhaps you, even without realizing it, are confronting something very similar. Maybe in your life, you have felt the pressure to decide between what you want for yourself and what others expect you to be. This game of expectations and unmade decisions is a silent trap that consumes the soul. Every choice becomes a pain, and every step toward love feels like a step toward familial failure. However, as he dives into this internal struggle, he begins to realize something more. True love, the kind that beats strongly in your chest, doesn't require endless sacrifices or subservience to others. He slowly starts to understand that love is not a burden, but a freedom. And upon realizing this, he feels a new kind of pain. No longer the pain of being divided, but the pain of realization. The pain of understanding that for a long time, he lived in a prison of expectations, where what he wanted for himself was pushed to the background. For the first time, he feels that his freedom is there, within reach, but he needs to cross the chasm to claim it. What does he have to lose, love or peace? And what if, by choosing love, he finds that peace will be restored in a way he never imagined? What will become of his life if he finally allows himself to be who he truly is? He begins to realize that the answers aren't easy. What can he do now? What choice will lead him to true happiness, and what must he give up to achieve it? This is the true weight of the decision. He doesn't know if he can have everything he desires, and even more painfully, he doesn't know if he deserves it. Have you ever felt this way? What would it be like for you to finally stop pleasing others and do what's right for your heart? Share your thoughts in the comments. Time goes by and the pressure mounts. He feels the walls of family closing in around him, even if it's not a physical prison. It's an invisible prison where his choices are constantly being evaluated, judged, and catalogued. He fears that if he chooses love, he will lose forever the sense of safety he has always known. But at the same time, he knows he can no longer live with this tension inside him. He has already realized that by trying to please everyone, he lost himself, and perhaps losing himself has been the biggest mistake he's made so far. Now the question is whether he will be able to embrace the freedom that love offers, even if it means coming into conflict with his family. He knows that the pain will be inevitable, but perhaps finally he will realize that this pain is necessary for his growth. Love cannot be shackled by guilt, shame, or the expectations of others. Love, he is beginning to understand, is liberating, but only when it is experienced without restraints. Will he have the courage to take that step? Will he choose freedom, love, or the security he has always known within his family? And what about you? What would you do in his place? The pain of being caught between two worlds, love and family, two forces you cannot ignore, yet they seem unable to coexist in the same space. How to decide? How to move forward when each choice seems to distance you from something essential to what you call home? Have you noticed how loyalty can become a prison? How the expectation to please, to be part of something greater, can suffocate you until you lose yourself? It's a silent pain, isn't it? One that grows when you realize that as much as you love those around you, the most important person you need to love, the only one who can truly give you peace, is yourself. This is the truth you still refuse to acknowledge. The love you fear losing may actually be the key to your freedom. But for that, you will have to let go of something else. The comfort that has always been tied to family. The idea of doing everything right, of pleasing others, of being accepted. The pain you feel now, this immense pressure to choose between two loves, one that is internal and genuine, and another that comes with the weight of old expectations, is a silent battle that will define your life. And it won't be easy. Because if you choose the love that beats in your heart, you know you may lose something profound, the peace with those you always wanted to protect. What if, by choosing love, you discover it's not something you lose, but rather something that transforms you? What if the real pain you feel isn't about losing your family, but rather about losing your true identity? Perhaps you'll realize that by setting fear aside, your family won't drift away. They will need to understand you, to see you as you are, even if it's something new for all of you. However, for that to happen, you need to understand. Understand that true freedom comes from within. It doesn't come from what others think. It doesn't come from what others expect of you. It comes from who you are, what you desire, what you feel, and who you want to be. True love doesn't require you to give up your essence. On the contrary, it sets you free. Have you ever been through something like this? Have you ever had to choose between being who you truly are and making others happy? What was that like for you? Share in the comments, because your story might also be the key for someone to find the courage to follow their own path. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's the only one you can follow now. And who knows, it might be your path too. If this resonated with you, join me in the next video and continue this journey.